Hello, so it's April and I'm going to try and do this month's TMiP Animation Generation Collaboration task, which is to draw a cube being folded up from a net. And once again I'm going to do it in TikZ. So let's start by making a template. Okay, and if I then build that, I can open that and I have a PDF to play with. Just like I did last month, I'm going to resize this PDF using geometry. Let's have no margins. Change those paper sizes. Whoops. So let's put a no indent here. And then begin TikZ picture. And once again, I'm going to put my hacks in here to make the TikZ picture look much nicer. So I do line width is 1 point, line cap equals round, line join equals round. And also different to last time, I'm going to define X, Y, and Z. Which we have to put inside curly brackets here because they're going to have commas inside them. So TikZ lets you define what the first coordinate and second coordinate and third coordinate of the points you use inside a TikZ picture mean. So I'm going to make Z be 0 centimeters, 1 centimeter, so Z goes straight upwards. I'm going to make Y. Wait, these are both going to, so X is going to go down 0.5 centimeter, Y is going to go up 0.5 centimeter, and then import math. If we've got a, so I'm trying to do an isometric drawing, so I'm trying to do a right angle triangle, so I've worked out that if the z-axis goes straight upwards, I want the x and y to be on the other two sides of an equilateral triangle. And so if you go in the x direction, you go 0.5 units up, and you're going to have to go that amount across. So your hypotenuse is 1, your height here is 1/2, so I've got to do 1 squared, take away 1/2 squared, square rooted. You get 0.866. That feels about right. So if these go up 0.866 centimeters and 0.866 centimeters. And if we draw from 0, 0 to 1, 0 to 1, 1 to 0, 1 and cycle to go back to what we started. So we get a square, but it's an isometrically drawn square. And just to show it definitely is what we want, let's draw a cube. So if we go 0, 0 to 0, 0, 1, in fact, just to make it clearer, I think if you leave off the z coordinate, it treats it as 0, but it would be clearer if we just do 3D coordinates everywhere. Like that. We're getting a cube, and then the last face is going to be that, but with 1s on the end. I'm going to draw. Let's start by drawing the net flat in the XY plane. And for the net, I'm going to choose the kind of cross-shaped net because I think that is going to be the simplest one to animate. Although I think you could do all of them in a very similar way, but this is going to be the simplest one to imagine, I think. And I'm going to do the square in the middle, 4 squares around it, and then 2 squares in the direction going kind of away from the camera, so that the folding up goes kind of behind the image and doesn't cover up everything, so you can kind of see what's going on better. So let's get rid of these and just go back to having 1 square. And 0, 0, I was imagining going in the negative x direction is that way. There we go, that's what I was expecting. In fact, I want to go to negative 2, 0, negative 2, 1, and then back to 0, 1, 1, 0. So that will do the part of the net there, 0. And we get 3 squares going there. And now we just need to put 3 more squares around that central square. So I'm going to go for 0, 1, 0. I should put a square to the right. Yep. Then we'll put a square 0. Okay, so that is our flat net. And already I can see I'm going to need to make the paper wider. So let's do that. Let's make it 5 centimeters wide. That looks 0.5. It's going to look like that. And I think this is the largest the picture needs to be. So if I kind of crop the image to this shape, flip. I'm going to have to put units in here because if I don't put units in the coordinates here, it will treat them as x being diagonal and y being diagonal, whereas if I put units, it will actually treat them as that direction and that direction. In fact, it's easier to see what you're doing if I do a big fill red. So then you can see I'm cropping the red rather than just cropping the white background. If I put -1.2 here, that should match and we get the whole image. So let's take that horrible red background off. I need to make an animation frame. So let's do a new command. Draw frame. Let's give it 1 input. Do a draw frame 0. Let's make the input go from 0 to 1. So if I do a draw frame 0.5 and a draw frame 1, then 0.5 should be kind of halfway folded and 1 should be the whole way folded. Although I'm going to do for this first draw frame, I'm going to be folding it so that the kind of 2 backward square is still pointing upwards. So we get a cube with one of the squares pointing upwards still, and then we've got a second animation just to kind of close the lid. The angle which I want to lift all these faces up is going to be number 1 times pi over 2, because pi over 2 is 90 degrees, so the angle is going to be that. So if I use, in fact I think LaTeX uses degree. If that's cos of this times 90, I don't need to put brackets there, like that. Similarly here, cos, because essentially we want the square face to trace out like the point at the end of it kind of traces out a circle, so it makes sense we're using sine and cos. And I'm doing cos as the one where it starts, because when cos of 0 is 1, and then when it gets to the top, cos of 90 is 0, and for the other part we do sine. So when it reaches the end, we want the z component to be the one that becomes 1 in there. And now it looks like we've got it, except in this second frame here we're going off the edge, so let's just recrop that a bit there. So we've got the 3 frames where this kind of back thing is folding up. We just need to now move all of the other edges to do the same. And now we need to do exactly the same trick on all of these other ones. Correct. So why is it looking weird in the second one? Oh, okay, right. It's because when it's halfway up, the faces are folded so that they form a straight line when you draw isometrically. So if I change that from 0.5 to 0.3, it should be clearer what's going on. What I do need to do now, though, is when it gets to this later stage here, we want to fill these white so that you can't see through them, so it looks actually like a cube rather than a wireframe folding together. I need to order everything I've drawn so that the furthest away stuff is drawn first and the other stuff is drawn on top, and then I can just put a white fill inside everything. And I'm going to replace this draw with draw fill equals white. Okay, that looks pretty good. The second command now, which is going to kind of fold the lid down. So for this part, let's make a copy of this. And let's make a new command called draw another frame. 110. Okay, so that's what the box looks like. So now I can delete the old code. There we go. And now we need to animate this closing. So this one here is where it started up with, so I think that's cos. And once it reaches the bottom, it's going to be going in the X direction. So there's going to be a sign here, like that. We start with a net. It folds up like this, and then the lid folds down to make a cube. We can use exactly the same conversion code as we did last month. Just copy that into here. 30, 60. Okay, I can replace #1 times 90 with just #1, and everything gets a lot simpler. If I put animation here, I need the if then package. We have, and that's because we're going past 90 degrees, because what it's doing here is drawing frame 4 times this number, and this number is going all the way up to 90. Let's do 4.5. Once this number reaches 90 over 4.5, we're going to have hit the point where we want to stop animating this. And 90 divided by 4.5 is 20. So it animates, and then I haven't done the next bit. Make an animation 2. So it folds up and the lid falls down. And now let's animate it going backwards. There's the last frame of the animation part 1 and the first frame of the animation part 2 are the same frame. It's easy, 19. And for animation 3 we want to do exactly this, but we want to do 90 minus that. So that it animates starting from 90 and then goes backwards. Let's see if that looks okay. So it closes and then it opens. In fact, we maybe want it to pause there for a minute. It finishes, stops for a bit, and then opens up again. Animate it folding up, but with the face still upwards. Animate that face folding down. Stop on the closed cube for a while. Animation backwards with the top opening up. Animation backwards with the rest of it opening up. And then stop on the net for a while. Folds up. Top goes in, pauses for a bit, opens up. Oh, and then this should be animation frame 0. And you Python convert to MP4. It should be converting every it's done. And that is my animation of a cube folding and unfolding from a net. I will put links in the description down below to the code for this on GitHub, and also links to the final animation and a link to the playlist of other people that have made an animation. Thanks for watching.